From all of the shooter games genre, I will admit if the FPS game or first-person perspective game is the most looking game that we have on mobile. Even though some of the games have already downloaded over 100 million players, this number is pretty crazy and cannot be compared with the other games. So on this video, we'll present the best FPS game that looks so promising in the future, and some of them has released globally to play, of course with a very good competitive level. Remember to like this video and help us to reach 200 likes. Please enjoy the video of Top 10 Best FPS Mobile High Graphic FPS Game Android and iOS Competitive Shooter Game. Operation Apocalypse. Operation Apocalypse. I'm really waiting for this game to be released globally. It has a great Valorant vibes that allows the player to cast the hero's special skills. So every hero that we have will have their own ability to cast. Once the cooldown time is ready, then we can do it after. The gameplay is quite interesting because we will play in a fair and balanced concept where both of teams will be switching on. There are the attacker side and also the defender side. Both sides will have their own mission. As an attacker, we need to rush the enemy's territory, and as a defender, we should protect our territory. Each of the waves, all of the player will be able to get a new weapon with so much variety of gun. The number of the gold that we earn will be increasing based on the level of the waves we have through. Once we kill the opponent, we can loot his gun and switch our primary weapons. I feel like the area is quite wide, so we can create a great strategy to hide behind the object. The graphic of Operation Apocalypse is absolutely impressive. It's full of attention to detail with a high visual art style. This is the best new FPS game shooter for Android and iOS. Delta Force. Delta Force, Hawk, Ops. These new FPS Android games really give us a new game's experience of shooter gameplay. Just imagine we'll play the game in a huge open world area and be able to navigate a tank as our vehicle. It's really amazing experience that we never have in the FPS games genre. Through this video, hopefully more games developers try to make another game like this and give more innovation. For example, be able to navigate the helicopter. But let's go back to the main gameplay of Delta Force Hawk Ops. We will play in a massive number of allies as our team. Honestly, they all seems like a computer and not the actual players. If the real players has a different movement pattern and higher shooter aim rate, I hope the developer will keep making these all allies by doing matchmaking before we can enter the combat. It will be a great idea playing FPS games in a massively multiplayer online game. So in-game, we can aim for the target by making a silent action like crawling. Aim the target from a distance with a pretty far radius is possible to do. Delta Force Hawk Ops is the best new game FPS mobile high graphic. Ace Force 2. Ace Force 2. This game has a western design in cartoon art style, but the game's visual are so amazing. I will admit it has a high graphic FPS game that will be available on Play Store and App Store globally. Because on its first beta, we have seen an English version already, which I assume this game will release directly into global without launching on a specific region first. The gameplay of Ace Force 2 is, it has a fair and balanced concept as well. It has two sides that will compete along each rounds in total. The first team who reach 9 points will become the winners. As I mentioned before, it has a very game experience where the team of each side will be switching off the attacker and defender. We will have 4 rounds each to prove ourselves to get a higher score than the opposite team. The combat mechanism is we can use a shield skill to protect ourselves in any place, so we don't have to find any object to protect us, but this skill has a cooldown that we need to know. The sensitivity control is pretty amazing. It makes the player aim the target from a far distance way easier. In fact, we can use the aim assist to help us. Ace Force 2 is the best FPS game Android and iOS high graphic FPS games for mobile. Indu's Battle Royale. Indu's Battle Royale game. What a game, well done Indian. Finally, this game is the pioneer of the Indian FPS game on mobile that I think will make a great new games experience as a player, because it has a beautiful main theme by combining the cultures of the country and put deeply as a game. Look at how the ornaments or the object around it, the hero's name, and how the character designs really represent that country. Honestly, they successfully deliver it on the right point. The gameplay seems pretty amazing at all. it has a fast, dynamic, and super smooth gameplay as the best new FPS shooter game. Even the rendering visual seems too fast, it makes the game run perfectly on any kind of moment we face. The combat mechanism lets the player slide and eat one of the best action to avoid any incoming shooting. In one game, we need to reach 30 points in total, but actually it has a better Royale based game, so we can play the game in a team amazingly. I was really surprised how possible the first trailer of Indu's Battle Royale game has been reached more than 1 million viewers on YouTube. That things made Indu's FPS game become the most anticipated FPS games for Android and iOS. World War Heroes WW2 PvP FPS. This game has the most amazing progress since the major update. Even the graphics seems twice better than the last version. The attention to detail and how the game perfectly looks like we were in the World War II amazingly give the ambience to the player. Sometimes we'll play directly into the combat once we start the game. I feel like we don't play with the real players because I didn't see any matchmaking. I can't even stand and face the entire enemy by myself. I don't even need to defend behind any object. Those are the reason why I feel like playing with a bot. The developer should take any action to attract more players, because as a player who loves FPS games, you want something more competitive and boost our adrenaline just like in World War experience. But overall, this game is one of the best English game FPS for mobile. Polygon's FPS shooter Strike. It's not fair when I just share the online game, so we try to give you a simple and casual FPS game that's playable for any devices and surely offline. If you are a newbie, this game will be the best FPS game to learn because we have fully an auto assist and amazingly auto fire. There are plenty of the guns that we can throw watching the ads. Then we can start to make it a trial with that weapon. In the game, there are some special action available like activating the skill rolling, aiming, and using sword for close range combat. Honestly, it's not pretty competitive at all, it's just good for fun and learning how to play a basic FPS game. Even in one game, we can finish it faster because the game's area is quite small though. I didn't see any features on it, it's just a simple team deathmatch. Once you reach a higher score, then you will become the winner. This is the best FPS offline games for Android and iOS. Front Remastered. Front Remastered. This is one of the best remaster I have ever seen on mobile. Such a nice progress, and honestly, I see it increasing multiple times by the graphic looks. The game has a story campaign mode where we play with some allies to support us from behind. Anyway, if you wonder about offline or online, yes, it's 100% an offline game. With less than 1 GB making this game pretty worth it to play. It's free to play at all, even though the level difficulty is pretty easy. I don't have any hard time learning how to play and master the game at all. Right now, we have so many options to select a different map area. They all have a great ambience. Anyway, the first impression I play of the game is like a World War FPS game. It's pretty classic, especially the gun and how well the character appearance looks. You can get some rewards by watching the ads, but of course, we need to turn on the connections on then. Front Remastered is the best FPS offline game Android and iOS that has released globally. Rage Effect Mobile. This is one of the best new FPS game that is still on beta testing. We can play the game online or offline, but I feel it's nothing different at all. When we select the online mode, all of the enemy and our allies seems like a bot. Not a pretty good game if you are a veteran player. Even I can face all of the enemies at once by ourselves. Once you reload the ammo, the enemy cannot target you. It's pretty crazy. The developer should try to be honest if the game is an online multiplayer or just an offline game, but overall I would love to play the game when it's released in real-time multiplayer and push the player to reach a new rank on the team deathmatch. I know it has a potential because right now the game is still in beta at the Play Store. The main combat is we need to lock the target directly and use the fire button manually. Anyway, it doesn't have any auto fire buttons. When we start the game, we'll get a weapon automatically like 2 guns, 1 grenade and 1 melee weapon. Rage Effect Mobile is the best new FPS Android game to play online or offline. Blood Strike. Blood Strike. This game suddenly reached 10 million downloaders in a few months. This number is really crazy. But after you play the game, then you will realize why it can be happen. It has a very rich action we can do, probably one of the complete action movement in the FPS games genre. So we can do a sliding using a parachute and aim the target from a distance. Can you imagine the whole game is less than 1 GB, which make the game become the most popular FPS game on any level of devices. The team deathmatch is pretty good and really addictive, super fast and 100% responsive of the sensitivity, making the players give a high rate on the Play Store. If you are a FPS lover, then I would suggest you to play this game once and see how your impression is after. In combat, we can switch the weapon on every wave, so be wise on selecting your best weapon as your role play. Each of the weapon will have a weakness and strength that we need to know, like the accuracy, fire rate, and damage power. Absolutely the best FPS games for Android and iOS that have been released globally. Carnage Wars. Carnage Wars, one word to describe this game, is amazing. I will give 10 to 10 for the game's level, graphic, visual, gameplay, and how the combat is absolutely impressed me. The whole gameplay is pretty fast and dynamic at all. This game is the only FPS mobile game that I acknowledge if it's only good for a veteran player. The game's level difficulty is way too hard, the enemy can lock us perfectly, and it's pretty sharp from any directions. It has more than 5 stages of the arena we can select. Even the battle mode has more than 5 options. With these all things it has, making the game become way more interesting. In fact, we can play it online or offline. In-game, we can switch the weapon anytime within 2 options. The special weapons will be dropped off when the helicopter comes, so we need to anticipate the location of the special weapon and pick it up becomes ours. These all are the best update game FPS high graphic games for mobile. Please enjoy the whole content of the top 10 best FPS mobile high graphic FPS game, Android and iOS competitive shooter game. If you love to watch my video, please be considered to like this channel. Remember to like this video to reach 200 likes. See you on the next video. Thanks.